Reddy. That's the High Commissioner for India. And the Deputy High Commissioner is Mr. SUBHASH Chand. These are the two. So you are welcome to TCN. Before I hand over to you, I am happy that you are here. I also want to tell you that we have been collaborating with you. Lawal, you know the support we received from Indian Grid, that they came to support us at that conference, which is charting the best way for our SCADA, was solely done by the High Commissioner. So let's use this opportunity to thank him for the support that he has given us. So we intend to collaborate with Indian Grid going forward, because Indian Grid is similar to TCN, because Indian Grid is government-owned and is operating within private sector players, just like TCN. So an Indian Grid is a very successful grid. We want to emulate them, and we want to learn a lot from them. So when we had the meeting with them, when we met during that workshop, they contributed significantly to the workshop. They told us how they did their own SCADA and how they deploy their communication system, and that has helped greatly in fine-tuning the document that we are going to do. And we intend to collaborate with them in the implementation of the SCADA project throughout. So we are very grateful to you. I also want to tell you that there are several Indian companies that we are working with. In TCN, I think Indian companies are the highest in terms of number, because in terms of line, I think among the line contractors that we have, out of the 4 most important line contractors, 2 are Indian companies, KEC and Transil. They are Indian companies. And we have also several Indian companies that are doing substation project in here. We also have recruited an Indian company to help us to standardize our design. That Indian company have come here, we have started, the consultant we have started, but we have not completed. We need to amend the contract to include not only substation, but to include line. We are at the final stage of completing that. They will come and complete the design. So these are the kind of relationship that TCN have with the Indian companies and Indian government. So we are very grateful. We welcome you to TCN. I think I will stop here and allow you to speak. So thank you very much, sir.
Mohammed, and to your distinguished heads of divisions of various departments for receiving me and my colleague, Mr. SUBHASH, the Deputy High Commissioner, this morning. I have come essentially to put forward a couple of requests and suggestions, if we can take forward. The backdrop to this whole, our visit is the very successful 2-day workshop the TCN organized, at which you had reviewed the SCADA and EMS and telecommunication systems. The feedback we received from the power grid colleagues was really very encouraging. What impressed me the most this morning was the brief description of the engagement that we have between the Power Grid of India, TCN, as well as TCN and the Indian other partners, Indian companies, private companies who have been working with you. Before I proceed further, I should explain myself, because I'm an engineer by profession, and I belong, I'm one among you. I started my career in the power sector. I think I think it brings me, like I was just telling a colleague as I walked in, I said, I feel at home, because I'm among the engineers and particularly the power sector related so before I joined the foreign service, which led me into this position, I was working for what we call in India, we call Central Electricity Authority. That was way back in the late 80s, at which, and that was the initial stages of Government of India deciding to create power grid. So finally, it was in 1992, a decision was taken in India that we will separate the transmission component from the governmental controls, and then they created an entity which is again a public sector, very similar to what you have in the TCN structures. So I'm reasonably familiar, coming from a mechanical engineering background. I cannot be as effective as other electrical and electronics engineers who may be in this room. But the short point I want to make is power grid has really come of age. I think we also started with many teething problems. Transmission, not only in terms of, we had about 5 grids in the country. We had a southern grid, northern grid. So I was at one time deployed in the southern grid, which is covering about 4 states. Later on, I think gradually the integration has taken place. And now we have a national grid. And power generation is India at present is estimated at about 320 gigawatts or 320,000 megawatts is the current power generation in the country. And hence the demand that's placed on the power grid is enormous, and hence they have no room for complacency, if I have to use the word. They have to keep upgrading the technologies and become sort of match up with the demands, not only placed by the central power generating units, but also many mini power generating units which have come about. As part of the India's liberalization, we allowed a number of private sector companies, for example, they have to set up their own power plant, power generation unit. They could do so, and they could subsequently sell the additional power, excess power, to the grid. And there are kind of agreements that have been entered where the central government, in India we call central government, which is the federal government, gives certain guarantees to them. And so we are working on a model which is doing fine. Well, it doesn't mean we still have lots of challenges, but I guess at a given point in time, we are able to review them and move forward. Coming to the sort of engagement that you mentioned, sir, I think I'm very impressed, and my objective is here today is to see if in whatever way the High Commission of India can assist in further strengthening this cooperation, which is already by your own sort of brief introduction is a substantive and substantial. And particularly the power grid, when they came and met us and they gave us a report to us, they were looking at, among other things, one is if you have any short-term deputation of your experts to go to India, that's one where we can, some components of the transmission-related aspects. Similarly, in any manner, they can assist in terms of preparing feasibility reports for any of the projects that you are undertaking, and they will be very happy to come here. And thirdly, which is we have under the India at the much larger level, which is the bilateral level. I think it's useful to mention one point that India is today the largest trading partner of Nigeria, where we import, of course, quite a lot of crude oil. I think we import rather 25% of Nigeria's national production is imported by India. But at the same time, India is also trying to export a number of products, and electrical components and electrical where is relating to the power sector, there is a significant growth. It is simply because I would like to believe that it is the similarity that we exist between Nigeria and India in terms of the models that we have adopted for connecting various points. That means starting from power generation, power transmission, and power distribution. I think this particular dimension has been very helpful in understanding better, and possibly my sense is the cooperation can be further enhanced, and in any manner we can look at it. We would be very happy to hear your concrete suggestions. As I said, we have requested Power Grid to send us a brief areas of cooperation. I'll just mention some of them, which to what extent we can take further will entirely depend on your comfort level and your current priorities. I mean, it has to be matching with your priorities at this given point in time. One is the preparation of the, as I said, feasibility or detailed project reports, if any, for the DCN and the power distribution and transmission and distribution sectors. For example, if you require to make bidding documents for EMS SCADA systems, since these systems have been integrated into Indian systems in a large measure, I think their expertise would be at hand. Similarly, operation and maintenance of the transmission systems in terms of any component you feel it is helpful. Similarly, operation and maintenance of national or regional control systems of the SCADA, and project monitoring of execution of transmission distribution systems. And as I mentioned earlier, some short-term deputation of experts. We will be very happy to. They will be very happy to organize, and High Commission here will certainly facilitate such visits. For, as I said, it is. I am not here to come to say that there is a lot to offer, but we have. It's a two-way track. We have also. Our people, when they came, they also learned a lot of things in their interactions. It's a two-way traffic, and I think we would like to enhance our understanding better by learning from your experiences and advances made by TCN in a number of areas, and I guess we can complement each other as we go along. So with these words, I once again thank and look forward to hearing your any substantive comments on this, sir. Thank you.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for more information on the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.